Hello, Camilla. This is my feedback to your listening exam, mock listening exam. Now, first of all, before I get into the paragraphs, let me say your notes are good, they're very good, very detailed, but we're not assessing the quality of the notes. We are assessing how different the final notes are from the first notes. And your notes are different, but to make it more obviously different or more substantially different, what you can do is you can make the first notes more natural, more messy. I mean, just take the first notes while you're listening to the video for the first time or second time, one of the early times you're listening to it, and then you will see your notes will naturally be more messy. There'll be a lot of abbreviations, a lot of symbols, arrows pointing in different directions. It won't be full phrases. It will be a lot of fragments, and that's how it should be. I mean, imagine you're in a real life situation with a speaker lecturing, and they're talking fast. You cannot cope with the speed of how fast they're talking. So as you write, you're barely coping to get as much as you can on the page, right? And that's naturally going to look very messy. That's not a problem. Then you can sit down, organize your ideas, then talk about main ideas, supporting ideas, and evidence, right? So that would be a way to guarantee that your final notes are substantially different from the first notes, which is the only thing that we're grading in this exam. We're not interested in the quality. Okay, so you can do that. And then at the bottom of the document, if you go to the guidelines, you will see that you need to include an explanation of how your notes changed from first to last to final notes. So at the bottom of that document with the notes, you can include a short explanation, maybe 3 or 4 sentences, saying how the final notes differ from the first notes. What did you do? What did you change? What did you delete? What did you add? How did you organize them? You know, that kind of thing. Okay. So that's as far as the notes. Now, let's look at this paragraph. This is quite a good paragraph. You've done a lot of good things here. I would just say work on the introduction, on the first sentence, which should state the main idea, and also a little bit on the last sentence. When you say procrastination is not a bad thing, first of all, that's not very academic, and second, it's kind of vague. It's not a bad thing. It is a way to see the problem in a new perspective. It's really, okay, that's fine, but you should say something a little bit more precise and something that captured the whole video as well. So say something about procrastination is actually part of the creative process, you know, something like that. Something a little bit more helpful, because not a bad thing, it's just a very vague way of putting it. As far as the first sentence, now here we want to see you've done everything okay, the reporting verb, the name of the speaker, the title, everything. But here, doubting innovative ideas and concepts is a need to achieve progress. Sure, but he's really talking about surprising habits of original thinkers. And we're not seeing that in your first sentence, right? So you can just say, Adam Grant claims that one of the surprising habits of original thinkers is that what looks like procrastination is actually a process, a creative process, which helps create innovative ideas or something like that, right? That would be more, that would capture the video better than simply saying doubting innovative ideas and concepts is a need to achieve progress. That sounds very general, you see. We don't know what the video is about by just reading this, you see. So you should work on that. But the rest is fine. You're using cohesive devices, you're using reporting verbs, everything is fine. The only thing is stay away from examples. Now, he only said Grant's experiment, that's fine. Confirms that, and then you're really talking about the supporting idea. That's very good. I'm just making a note to you on the exam. You can do that, but do not explain what the experiment was, right? We're not interested in examples and in evidence. So overall, you've mentioned all the ideas, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I would say work on the phrasing a little bit. Look at this. Another point is that in order to be original, there is no need to be the pioneer. Fine, that's so far very good. But different ideas is the advantage, as the study shows that pioneers failed but creators had less setback. You see, I kind of got lost here. I know what you're saying because I've seen the video, but someone who hasn't will have a hard time understanding exactly what's going on here. Up to here it was good. But after that, the second part. So I know, I've seen the video, I know what you're trying to say. Just make it very clear. A good rule of thumb is, would somebody who hasn't seen the video understand? So you can be very simple in your phrasing. Don't worry. We're not judging how academic your phrasing is. Excuse me, that's my phone. Don't worry about, just be clear. Be simple, but be clear. Okay? This is much better. Very simple and much more clear, right? So you've done a lot of good things here, but I've noticed it in previous summaries as well. Sometimes the phrasing is a little, maybe because you're trying to put so much into a sentence, just split it into simple sentences. Don't worry. Be clear. That's the most important thing. Because if you go to the rubric, you will see we're more interested in how many supporting ideas you included, what's your first sentence, does it include, is it argumentative, does it include the whole main idea. These are the things we look at. We're not judging you on how brilliant academic writer you are. So clarity and simplicity is much better than trying to pack so much meaning into a sentence. Now you don't do that a lot, but sometimes. I've noticed it before as well. But overall, this is a good summary. You've done everything you need to do. Just work on your first sentence and you should be fine. The identification paragraph is very clear. You've done everything you need to do. Simple enough, no problem. You've identified the evidence, the supporting idea. There's no problems here. Now, with the evaluation, again, I like your thinking. You've done it well. I would say here you've spent quite a bit of time on the sufficiency. Look, it's almost half of your paragraph is just about sufficiency, which is okay. There's no rule how many words each section should have, but if you can make this a little bit more concise, that would be good. Now, you've kind of gotten into the logic of what he said, which is fine. But for sufficiency, if you make this more concise, let's say you make it like maybe this many words up to here or something, then what you can do, you can add what the speaker should have said. The speaker could have used more concrete data proving the exact correlation between this and that. The speaker could have added a survey or a study showing the relationship between X and Y. You see, that's also a good thing to add to sufficiency. If you're saying it's not sufficient, what should he have said to make it sufficient, right? So to allow yourself to say that, whatever you say in terms of why it's not sufficient, you have to say it very concisely. Okay, that's what I would suggest. The relevance is quite good. You've basically said that the first is relevant, the second and third are not very relevant, and you've given reasons why. That's fine. That's okay. The representativeness, you're saying here, writing a book is just a particular example, right? Can be completely different from other people's creativity, sure. If you had more space, you would add that this is not necessarily a typical example of all the whole creative process of every original thinker, something like that. And throwing in the word typical, the fact that it's not typical, is actually very good when you talk about representativeness. So here I would say if you had more space, you would add one more sentence. And here make it a bit more concise so that you can add what the speaker should have said. And as far as the relevance, I think it's quite good. Again, if you could economize on a few words, that would be great, which will allow you to have more space for the representativeness part. But overall, you understand the terms, you know what to do, and your paragraphs are very good. So I think you're in very good shape for the exam. You've been a very good student, Camila, by the way. This is my last screencast. It's been very good working with you, and I wish you the very best of luck.